show you that on August 19th.
And one, we are live now for the people joining us at home to join us. So everybody wave, because everybody can see you. So we were just talking, everyone, about the new Bernina B990 and the new Brother Avenir and the Baby Lock, which we don't formally know the name of yet, but deposits are rolling in. So if you decide you want to get on the train to take advantage of the bundles, talk to a salesperson, a sales associate, a staff member of our store, because there's no better place to spend your money than Issaquah Sewing and Back.
And if I could interject one more thing that I am allowed to say without crossing the line, the Baby Lock and Brother release will have a limited edition machine. So just so you know.
Yeah, and the limited edition will run out quickly.
Right.
So the people that are putting down their $500 deposits for those machines right now are secured in getting one of those limited edition machines.
Right.
So just so that you know, that's the way they're working it.
Right.
And it's not by dealer, it's by reservation.
Right.
So we have a big responsibility that when somebody does put down a deposit, that you go on the official list that's monitored by Bernina, Brother, and Baby Lock. So there you go. Very exciting times.
Exciting.
So thank you all for coming to SewTime. What month is this?
June.
Why does it say SewTime April?
I do not know.
I saw that too.
Wow. Okay, we're going to pretend it's April because I can't go back on this, but it's June. And we would like to welcome everybody, and Carrie's going to be leading us. And without further ado, Carrie, off you go.
Well, I'm going to say one more thing about the Bernina 990. On July 13th at 10 a.m., so you'd want to arrive a little bit early, we're going to be having an in-store unveiling and live stream. It will not be available on the internet. You must be in the store. We have only 30 seats available, so you do want to sign up in advance. But we're supposed to have a machine in the store, so it's going to be hands-on as well as watching their live stream. So I just want to make sure that you all are aware of that. That machine is truly amazing, and it's going to be exciting to see all these new machines out. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get started. So when Eddie approached me to pick a subject for this month, he wanted me to do sergers, which it's like, okay, we've done them a bit, but there's always new things about sergers. But I also wanted to do AccuQuilt because I still find that a lot of people have the AccuQuilts, but they're just not using them. And so we did create an AccuQuilt block of the month to encourage people to use their AccuQuilts. And we'll be expanding that as the year progresses. But sergers originally are thought of just for garment construction. And we have been learning over the last few years, they're not just for garment construction, they're for embellishment. And so with embellishing on our garments, we're putting decorative threads and we're doing fancy stitches and things like that. Then we've, of course, done it on table runners, book covers, tote bags, little pouches, quick zipper pouches, all these things with the serger. But now we are moving more into what can you use your serger for quilting? And they're not just for embellishing. I touched on it a little bit last year about how we can piece with the serger. And I don't know if you can see this, but right here, this piecing was done with the serger. Using just a standard 4-thread overlock. Now, the concern that people have with that is the bulk of the seam, but in reality, it really is less bulky with the serger. And you do get that perfect 1/4 inch seam, but it's a sealed seam, so it's not going to ever unravel. Another option for piecing with the serger would be to use your chain stitch. And you put your needle in the left position, and then you're going to, line up the fabric to the perfect on the right hand edge. And you should get, depending on your serger, a good 1/4 inch seam. But I always measure, I always test. And then recently I saw somebody doing a 1/4 inch seam, but they used a 2-thread flat lock. And what that did is it really allowed the seam to open up. It was still strong, but it was even flatter, but it was decorative. And so you have options, and that's just for the piecing. That's not just embellishing. So talking about the different options, if you've heard of Pam Mashey, for many years she was with Baby Lock, and she's now moved over to the Bernina. Well, she and Gail Yellen and Amanda Murphy, they kind of got together, and it's officially Amanda Murphy wrote this book called Bloom and Grow. It's based on using the Bernina 890 serger, and it's making a quilt, but each as a block of the month. And each block, you're learning a new serger technique. And when you're done and you put it all together, you have a beautiful quilt. And I believe this is it, a picture of it. The way the book is written is each month is a different block, complete with, let's see if I can get to the beginning of a block here. We'll go backwards. But it's complete with the instructions. So it's going to give you the supplies you need, the cutting instructions, and then it's going to talk you through each step. Now, if you want more than just a book as your pattern, through Bernina, they do offer a YouTube class. There is a fee for that, and their suggested fee is like $300, but I know that we're going to have a discounted rate. Ed and I just didn't have a chance to talk about it, so it's a secret right now. So anyway, but that is kind of the new end thing, is quilting with your sergers, and we all love to quilt, and that's what made today's class really flow together, because sergers and AccuQuilt are both quilting. Now, a book that we have sold in the past is Power Surge. Power Surge was written not to be machine specific, but it turned out to be Baby Lock specific, because when the writers of the book, which is Pam Demore and Betty Mitchell, went to all of the different machine manufacturers and said, hey, we're writing this book. We'd like to be able to include your machines and such. Baby Lock was the only company that responded. And so most of the instructions in the book are going to be based on Baby Lock. But they make it very clear in the introduction, you can do it with basically any serger, okay? But the Baby Locks, it's the Baby Lock settings that you're going to see in the book. They also came up with an idea of learning your techniques and doing a block of the month. And the quilt here is just an example of that. Each one of those is a different technique in this book, okay? And so if you don't already have the book, because I know we've promoted it a couple of different times over the years, it's still a valuable book to have in your arsenal of training. Now on this quilt, each one is a different technique, and they're focusing on different feet, not just the techniques. So for example, the box pleated windows right here, that's teaching you with your chain and cover hem foot. Also the cover stitch plaid, which I believe is the very tippy top one in the center, okay? So the feet are not listed on your price sheet because there were so many of them, but up front, if you're looking for the different feet, we have the cross reference between the Baby Lock feet and the Bernina feet. So if it's a foot that you're looking for and we don't have it, obviously we'll order it, but if we do have it, we'll go grab it off the wall for you. The pen tucks, which would be this green block, and then the orange up in the top corner, those were all pen tucks. And Rachel used the pen tucks and guides foot, which that's another, bringing up Rachel. I also want to just say how much work we put into this, that this is definitely, it was a team effort this month. And many times it's a team effort. We've got people behind the scenes, but I just want to make sure that they get the credit for what they did, because both Barb and Rachel really put in a lot of work on a lot of these samples here. And some of these, if you've taken some of our classes, if I can move this chair a little bit, like this pillow, this was in one of our serger classes. We actually did this construction. So if you've taken any of our serger classes, you're going to recognize some of these. This was another serger class here. And if you look at this, this is your cover and chain upside down. So in other words, this is the bottom is what got the decorative thread. On this pillow, oh, I got the back side. You want this side. This is actually a flat lock that ribbon was woven through it. Okay. And then we've got piping around the edge, but it's all done on the serger. Set these here. So the other thing that you're going to see is like lace. And on that, the standard foot is used, and it's a technique, and you do have to take it slow because you want to make sure your lace connects to each row. It's almost like serger crochet, serger lace. I think the terms are interchangeable. That one, we actually use the standard foot, but sometimes you can use a blind hem foot to install lace, or there's also a lace application foot. When we did the 1/4 inch seams, especially on this one, we actually used the lace foot because the lace foot has a guide. And so you can put it right over at the 1/4 inch, and then it just runs right along the guide. Anytime I can use a tool to make sure I sew straight, I'm going to use that tool. Okay, so when we're embellishing our quilts using the decorative threads, sometimes our threads tangle up and, you know, they kind of just get unruly. So Gail Yellen created a product, and this is the packaging, called Thread Fusion, okay? The package doesn't really show you what it is, unless, of course, you flip it over. But I took this one out so you could see it. It sits on your spool pin. You can use it not just on the serger, but also on the sewing machines. But it has 4 spool holders. She makes a small and a large. This is the large because it will accommodate the little cones, okay? The small one is more of your smaller spools of thread because you can see the size difference. They also planned ahead for putting it on your machine. They didn't want to damage it, so these are little tiny rubber feet that they put on there. Now you can see on this machine, because there's a taper to the thread spool or the thread holder, it just sits on top. But it allows you to sometimes put more than one thread through the same looper because it keeps them from tangling up. You know, I always say you want to control the children, okay? Now, sometimes you just have an unruly thread, but you don't really want to get a thread fusion. And so we have the Wonder Fill, which now I'll take off, where you literally bring your thread through here. Oh, this guy twisted on me. What did I do? I'm really talented here, guys. You just bring your thread through, and it's just going to unroll. And it's literally on a little turntable. And so it behaves. When you talk to Wonderfill, they say, oh, it's great for metallics. Well, it's great for more than just metallics. I would tell you that. So I like to get as many tools as I can to make my life easier.
What's that called?
That is the Wonderfill thread dispenser, and it's in a little box. And you can get it in baby pink, baby blue, or white in case color matters. Okay. And then the Thread Fusion is on your price sheet. I did not bring a lot of these in because we can easily special order them. The suggested retail is $99.99. So I wasn't sure how many people were just going to jump on this product. Okay. But I'm jumping on the product. I already got mine right here. Okay. Also, if you decided to do this beautiful bloom and grow and you need it in their colors, they made this as a thread pack that we can order for you. And it's all Wonderfill thread, so you can also just buy the singles. Okay, I am also a person who likes books. So I think books are a great resource. I'm not one that's great at reading them on a tablet. I'm a touchy-feely person. My house is full of books. My kids, even my mom is like, you don't homeschool anymore. Do you still need the books? Oh yeah, I gotta have them. I'm not sure. You never know when you want to look something up. So to add to the arsenal, everybody should have just a basic serger book. And this one is got just the serger essentials. It's got a few projects in the back to talk about all your different stitches and how they should look. It's laid out very well, and it just gets you going. It's just the basics that everybody needs to know. So this is just another good resource for in your resource center. Then, of course, you all need tools. So in case you don't have a good set of basic serger tools, Baby Lock came out with this set, and it's got, I think this is an interesting name. So this guy here, they call this the fabric control tool. And they say it holds your fabric securely under your presser foot. I think it's just a stiletto, but okay, we'll name
Looks
it.
like a dental pick.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. And then you have your Ultra Pro seam ripper. I just call it a surgical seam ripper, but if you've ever gotten a serger jammed, you know that the serger feet don't lift as high as sewing machine feet. And then all your thread is all goobered up underneath. You need the flat surgical seam ripper to get in there and trim those threads, because a traditional seam ripper is round. It's got a handle on it. You just can't get it in there. My other very favorite thing is the double eye needles. You have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say on that seam ripper also, if any of you are embroidery enthusiasts, oftentimes your embroidery needs a tool like that to release it if it decides to do those Dunlops. You know.
Yes, yes. Anytime that you have thread that decides to go down there and not come back up, that surgical, I got to get my pictures on the right side of the box. This surgical seam ripper is the best tool to help get that out. Because the last thing you want to do is try and jam some scissors under there, and now you've cut a hole in your fabric too. And then you cry. My other very, very favorite tool that is on back order, so you have to buy this whole kit in order to get any, is the double-eyed needle. Now, I like the double-eyed needle, and if you're not familiar with what it is, it's simply a metal bar with the eye of a needle at either end. And yet it's kind of on the flat side. But I use that to manage the thread tails on the serger. You can thread them through that large eye on that needle, and then you can tuck them underneath your ending threads to finish it off and give itself a nice finish. And then, of course, you can never have enough scissors, and these are little 3.5-inch double curves. So I have a million pairs of scissors, and you know, when you have all that many, you would think you could find them when you wanted them, but no, they're always hiding somewhere. Okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about is some more tools, because you got to clean your machine. So we brought this in, and if you know me, if it's purple, I got to have it. So this is called the cat paw. And if I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a cat paw. And when you push it out here, it's your cleaning brush.
Or a makeup brush. Cute.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cat paw. And then it just slides back in, kind of like an oversized lipstick tube. And there you go. Another thing is sometimes I don't have time to get all the way up and go to my ironing board for a quick little seam press. So this tool is really nice when you want to just press that seam open after you've stitched it, and it just gives you that nice crease. And this one is by Quilter Select that comes in 3 different colors. And you know, if you're going to have a tool, you might as well have a pretty tool. So they call this jewel tools, okay? But it's just a little seam press, and they have, this is a beautiful turquoise, and then they have a pink, and they have a sodalite. So I think these are real rocks inside, you know. I suppose you should call them gemstones. But anyway, I like pretty tools. I want something that is going to be nice. One last tool that I'm going to talk about is we just discovered these mini magic clips. Now I know that you've all seen the Wonder Clips. Yeah. So why do I need a magic clip? Well, they're different. Okay. So if you look at the profile of these, you've got an empty space here. And as Mo was explaining, that is great when you're trying to get your binding on because it's got that room there for that bulk of the binding. The magic clip is a little bit closer to, because they're made by the Magic Pin Company. It's more of a replacement for straight pins on the edge of a seam. And you cannot see it from there, but there literally is a mark that's measured on this particular one at 1/4 of an inch. It's really more of a scant 1/4 of an inch because the theory is you can leave this in and you can stitch right on this edge of it and you're getting your 1/4 of an inch, but this is holding, okay? It's not budging. So when you need it, you know, to be there, and yet you need it nice and flat, the plastic is what's hitting your machine, not the metal. So it does keep it safe. So it's just another tool for the toolbox. And the packaging looks like this. Okay. We brought in the one size. They come in multiple sizes, but we just sort of said, hey, we're trying these out. Let's just try for the 1/4 inch. Because that just made the most sense to us as quilters. Okay, so now let's move on to AccuQuilt. How many here already have AccuQuilt? Okay, so if you don't have it and you quilt, the concept of AccuQuilt is let the machine do the cutting so that it spends all the time cutting, not your energy, so you can spend more time sewing. Okay, if you've never used one before, they come in 3 sizes. So this one is Laura's from home. It's an older one, so its name is Gobaby. They don't make Gobaby anymore. They make Go Me. It's the same size, new name, and it's very portable. And so basically, it's this size when it's open, okay? And you're going to put your die in it, and I'm just going to show you without fabric for a minute. But when you put your die in it, you're just going to wind this, and that's what's going to bring it through and cut your fabric, okay? Well, some of us said that's nice, but we're getting old. So we don't want arthritis in our old age. So we got the Go Big Electric, okay? Now, the nice thing about Go Baby is you have dies, you have fabric, and then you put on your mat. So if I was going to put this on, it would look something like this. And it's ready to go in the machine. The Go Baby will handle 70% of the current dies on the market. Okay? Because the dies come in different sizes. So this die is going to fit. This one will not fit. So you need just the standard Go. All right, and this is where they started. And it looks the same as the Go Baby or the Go Me, where it opens up, but then it folds up when you're not using it. And that is actually the original. They started with that, they added the little one, and then they came out with the electric. So the little one can handle 70% of dies as long as they're no wider than this. The middle size can handle any of the dies that are 10 inches wide. The Go Big is anything bigger than that, okay?
Or small.
It can do small, but it can't do, but these guys can't do bigger. So Right now, to my knowledge, there's only 3 dyes that this guy does that the other 2 don't do, but this one is electric. So when it's electric, the way that you do it, electric or not, is you have a label on this side. That should go in sideways to the machine, whichever machine you're using, okay? So that's not going to be your leading edge or your following edge. It's going to be a sideways edge. If you also notice, these guys are purposely crooked so that you get a better cut. You can put up to 6 layers on of fabric, and on the Go Big, it's kind of hands-free, except for, oh, look, I have to catch it. How many people have this and they're like, oh, I have to catch it? Okay. Well, guess what? They came out with a product for that, and it will be arriving the end of July. So it is not too late to get in on the pre-sale, because I did order a few extras because I knew people would miss out. And it is called the Go Big Die Catcher. Okay. This is normally $144.99. And I believe it's on the internet for, don't quote me on this, it's I think $129.99 is MAP price. It might be a couple dollars less, but we're not supposed to advertise less than MAP, so I'm going to play it safe. If you get it today in the pre-order, or I'll say this week, in the store, you'll get your SewTime discount off of the $144.99. We can't advertise that. We can't say the price is online. That's just our contract. Kind of like Brother Baby Lock. We don't want to lose our dealership. Okay, so take advantage of that. Get in on the pre-order, because I know some people have already pre-ordered theirs, but you just don't want to miss out. The other sale that AccuQuilt did, and I said, well, isn't that convenient? Just in time for our SewTime. And that is their buy one, get the second one at 40% off. So your first one will be at retail, the second will be at 40% off. And that is on all of their dies and cubes and sets and bundles. And that offer actually is good through July 2. Okay? So you have a little bit of time on that. And we always just confirm the prices by looking online. Whatever it is online, that's what we do. So that takes care of it. The other thing that the girls did is June Taylor. How many people have done the Mondo bag class? Okay. So what was nice about that is you just put all your fabric down and then you stitch it all together. It's on a pattern. Well, June Taylor has taken that the next step. And they have a pattern called the Shopper Totes. Okay. And we have them available over there. And what it is it is, again, pre-printed for all your fabrics to lay them down and then stitch them together. And we've got 2 of the 3 made by Rachel and Barb, because they were the busy bees this month on the getting of a whole bunch of stuff done. They were going to do the 3rd one, but I'm thinking life got busy, which is okay. Or maybe they wanted me to do one. I'm not sure. But anyway, they just went through it really quick. It was amazing.
How big are they? I mean, I see this one, but is that also the same size?
I think they're all approximately the same size.
Oh, so they really are good for shopping.
They are good for shopping. Yeah, they're big, good.
Is it done with the serger or a regular machine?
It could be done either way, actually. So, and I don't know if you know it, but June Taylor is now owned by AccuQuilt. So that was just a little tidbit. I'm going to go back to sergers for a minute. I'm going to jump back and forth. This may end up being a serger class of some sort, but this hem, if you come and look at it afterwards, this, we're used to using our sergers to do a cover hem. This is a flat lock. So you get the decoration of this thread, and it really I'm back to, it's like, I never would have thought of doing that, but it is beautiful.
Is that a variegated thread?
It is a variegated thread. So yeah, she didn't sew crooked, it's just variegated. But she made that for her daughter, and then I said, oh, before she wears it, can we hang it up? So Rachel is really busy working on the serger classes in the serger club. When Alexis left, I said, oh, now I got to find a new partner. And she jumped right in and she's like, I need to learn my machine. I'll be your new partner. Next thing I knew, she was doing all of the different ones where Alexis and I were trading back and forth. And Rachel just keeps doing more and more and more projects. It's like, I can't keep up with that girl. And I said, well, do you just want to do it yourself? Oh, no. It's like, okay. So we're working on more and more projects. Summer is, hit and miss as to how many people are on vacation, but I know that we'll gear back up by fall. We'll still have some on the books, but again, if people aren't signed up, then we just sort of cancel and move on. She did a pillowcase, and I thought that she was bringing it, but I don't see it. If you see the purple, two-tone purple checks up on the wall, this is the same concept here. This was when Alexis planned in our serger class. She just started grabbing scraps of fabric, and so here's just a little coaster. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, you need to say what that thing is. It's a hot pad.
Well, it's like a placemat
Yeah.
with a coaster.
But remember,
Or you
we
can
put
use
the-
a
we put
hot
that
pad.
silver stuff in it.
Did we do that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Some of these I've done so long ago, I can't even remember what we
put the
did.
silver stuff in it. We did it for Thanksgiving sort of thing. It
Okay,
was a big kind of.
so you
like
can
a
use your
buffet hot pad.
casserole.
Yeah.
Put your casserole dish on it so it doesn't burn. I know that you all saw that one last year. That was like, I tried to use just about every serger technique in that purple bag. And honestly, that table runner was quite a few years ago, but that was a serger one. And you can see I did the wave stitch around the outside edge and then those pinwheels. So there's just so much fun you can do with these machines. It's just pretty amazing. Putting in zippers. I mean, that's what that one pouch was, putting in a zipper with the serger. So, and then I think, it was a customer did a class where we we used a decorative zipper and top stitched that down. So you would definitely use like your cover hem stitch and do that. So on AccuQuilt, so we're jumping back to AccuQuilt for a little bit. AccuQuilt, basically they have what I call 3 categories of dies. The first one is their blocks and cubes. And so they'll have their main cube set, which has 8 different shapes in it. So it'll have 8 different ones of these, each one having different shapes on it. And then they call these 2 the companion sets. And each one, so one is angles, one is corners, each one has 4 additional dies in it. So if you only had the original block, you can make up to 72 different quilt patterns. If you add the angles in the corners, I think the number is like 216. Now, when you buy the blocks, if you look at the catalog, it'll say, 6-inch, 5-inch, 4-inch, 8-inch. What that means is your finished size of the block. So you say, I'm going to do a quilt, and every block in my quilt needs to be 8 inches. Well, then you buy an 8-inch cube. Okay. So that's kind of how cubes work. Their other category is applique. And you're going to see a lot of applique dies all over the place. So this one has actually got 2 dies on here. And Barb did this, and then she added her words. So it's sip and sew. And I will say and then I think she added some extra embroidery as well. We have personally found that even though they give us, she did this. Isn't this a cute idea? She just took this ruffle, she cut an extra piece out and then moved it up. So this was not part of the original AccuQuilt thing, but you do whatever you want, it's yours. Personally, we found that if you use the zigzag stitch around, sometimes if you're using the free one that comes from AccuQuilt, sometimes it misses a little bit. I've had more luck when I've used the this applique shape here, where they have one that looks like a star, which I think is on the fox out the front there. Actually, it's on this one. I'll show you in just a minute. But the different shapes of applique, they give you a free set of embroidery, three different shapes of embroidery files. So you can do it on your embroidery machine instead of hand applique or machine appliquing it manually. It's a lot of fun to do that. Barb being French, her pineapple is in French, because I had to ask her, it's like, what in the world is this? She's like, that's pineapple in French. It's like, okay. So, and then she added, I don't know if you know about this, but this background here, that's Zunt's peacock feathers. It's a Zunt design that she put in there. So,
Thank you.
it was just so much fun. We've got tractors, we've got kitties, we got bees. So the other thing that we had to do, because those of you who know me, and you always hear stories about my kids and my family, so you know way too much, but that's okay. So my daughter and her husband are massage therapists. They, a little over a year ago, went to Thailand to take Thai massage classes. And while they were there, they traveled around and they did an elephant rescue thing. And then I, of course, sent her on a mission to find me batik fabric, which she didn't quite understand what batik fabric was. So then I'm in America texting her all of the, because, you know, these phones, they know everything. So I'm texting her, okay, well, here's a shop and it says it's on this street. Mom, it's not there anymore. Oh, okay, well, try this one. It's not there anymore. So long story short, she never did find any batik fabric. What she did find was elephant fabric. And she brings home this humongous bag of yardage of all of this different elephant fabric and said, make me a quilt. And I was like, these are some interesting colors. Not really mine. I'm a jewel tone girl. These were definitely more earthy tones. And they were busy. So I didn't do anything yet. And then a couple months ago, she announced that they are having their first. Well, at the same time that they announced it, guess what AccuQuilt did? They made an elephant die. Perfect timing. So I have to make sure this is right side up. So I made her an elephant quilt.
Oh, isn't that cute?
With her fabric. So all of this elephant fabric is from Thailand. I do have it crooked after all of this. Sorry. Let's go right side up. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Can't tell from the back. Okay. So the original AccuQuilt die pattern looks like this. See if I can make it straight so the camera can see it. And that's cute. But then I said, well, I've seen things where they're, you know, either blowing water or holding balloons. So I got my embroidery software and I added some heart balloons. But of course, that's okay for the outside corners. But I got to be really fancy. So my center block looks like this. And I hand placed, well, I originally did this in the software, and guess what? Bernina's machine's not out yet. And we don't have a machine that had a large enough hoop to do this in one hooping. And if I did it in my multi-needle, which you can split the hoop, but it would split it, and these are appliques, it split it in the middle of elephants. That was not going to work. So basically I had to do the mama elephant and like 3 of them on top, and then I could do the 3 on the bottom, and then I had to hand place the 2 side ones. So I figured it out, but that took more time than anything else on the quilt. And then I got it all together, and then I would say with Mo's help, but really I think Mo did it all on the long arm. But we got Minky on the back, and we quilted it on the long arm. So like I said, doing all these projects, it takes the whole team to get it done, okay? But I really enjoyed this, and fortunately my daughter is not a perfectionist, so she's okay, because I told her, I said, oh, I have to pick out this seam before I can finish the binding, because I found elephants on one of our machines, but it didn't want to feed very good. So because it was too thick and bulky. So I had to pick it out, and I didn't get it picked out. And she's like, Mom, the baby's never going to know. Nobody's going to see it. Just don't tell anybody, because it's literally about this much that's not picked out. So this morning, I got the rest of the binding on. I'm just going to tell you that. And it was too late before I remembered how cool you can take your serger and put the first side of the binding on. You know how you have the 2 layers? And so you do this. Let me put it here. You can serge your binding on like this. Then you only have to roll it around and sew it down. But I forgot. So sorry. Somebody said, just don't tell you. You'd never know. I could pretend I did it. But I just want you to know that that was a way. And then I remembered also that if you use fusible thread when you do that, when you fold it over, you press it down, you don't need pins. You just stitch it on. So there's there's so many techniques. We just don't remember all of them. But the other thing I want to talk about now is block on board. Okay, so we do have it currently going, an AccuQuilt block of the month based on the cubes. But block on board is referred to as Bob. And everybody's like, what the heck is a Bob? Well, Bob stands for block on board. And what it means is you get all of the shapes on one board to make this block. Okay? And then they give you pattern ideas on the back. And so you have all of the shapes on one. Here's another couple of examples of block on board. This one is all of the shapes coming down, and they'll show you how they lay them out here. And then if you look at the back, like if you're looking at a pattern, it'll say, if you want to do this pattern, you need to have, 4 layers of fabric in this shape and 3 layers here and a couple there. If you're going to do multiple colors, you just add the different colors on. But you don't do your fabric strip the whole length. You just have, green here, purple here, red here, but then you put your cover on, run the whole thing, and you've got all your fabrics for your one block. Okay. And this is another example. And I know we did this one, but I don't remember where it is. It's somewhere in the store. But this is just another example. And then, like I said, it's upside down. On the back here is just another way of laying it out to get another kind of a pattern. So what we're working on, and we haven't quite got it all figured out yet, is doing what we call a try before you buy block on board, where you come in and we have one of these set up, and you can bring in enough fabric to do one block. If you like it and you want to do a whole quilt, then you buy the die. Okay? So it's just like a quick try before you buy kind of a thing. So anyway, I think that kind of wraps it up. We did kind of show off this only because it was in some of the samples that the girls did. But it comes in all different colors. Everybody's familiar with it, but Kimberbell for embroidery, but you can use this trim for anything that you want. And we just have it over on the regular wall, but we just wanted you to be aware that we did use some of that as well. We're also promoting fat quarter bundles, but this is a fat yard bundle. Well, it's not really fat, it's just a 1 yard bundles, because stripes, you usually need more than a quarter. And so we thought we'd try this in the bundles, because some people were saying, well, we want a whole bundle. We don't want to buy them by the each, which is what we've all done in the past. And so what we're doing is we'll start them out in the bundle, and then if they don't sell, then we'll open it up. But a lot of people have been liking the 1 yard cuts. You can buy it in the bundle, but as our little thing runs out of the singles, then we'll probably open some of the bundles up, and then you can buy just one color at a time. The other is, I'm not certain how many people have purchased the Olaso mini irons. We sold a lot of the version 2s. That's what I have at home. But then they improved it. They gave you a little headlamp, and you can kind of, this is more color coordinated for your temperature control. You've got a push button for on off, and then you've got your steam. Obviously it comes with your silicone here. This is a special edition Tula. So they will, if you're into Tula, this is the way to go. You got to have it. Mine is purple at home. They have been on back order a lot. So we have just 2 Tulas. And then we have more of the standard number 3s that are still on back order, but there's a rumor that they'll be in soon. And we've already taken a lot of pre-orders on that. So are there any questions today? Yes, my dear.
I want to make a comment.
Okay.
I recently made for my son, I don't know whether you saw it on Facebook, but the dreaded Crown Royal quilt.
Uh-huh.
Did it all on the AccuQuilt.
That's awesome.
I used my 8-inch blocks for the half-star triangles. It was the worst thing I've ever made because they do not use quality fabric for the sack over knicker.
And see, I've made pillows with those sacks.
It's
and
frayed like the devil.
I ended up fusing them onto a backing, and then
Yeah, well, this
Yeah,
is an
but you
entire
did
quilt,
stuff,
and
yeah.
but I used it for having to whack up a little bag and trying to get all of it. Luckily, I have a neighbor that obviously either knows a lot of people who drink or secretly drinks a lot herself because she gave me 100 bags.
I have more. You need some more?
So I had to fussy cut the name.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
But I used the AccuQuilt, the 2.5-inch dies for the binding. And then, as I said, the little half square triangles and squares. So it made it much easier. But I had to use a lot of fray block because you have to worry about it pulling out of the stitching. But I will tell you, the son is thrilled. Gave it to the son who drinks. Not a lot. But he was absolutely thrilled. So I would have never been able, it would have killed me
Yeah.
to have had to cut up all of those damn little pieces myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, AccuQuilt. Yeah, as a strip cutter, I didn't even show off the strips, but you know, when I did this is all 2.5-inch strips because that's my favorite strip cutter. And the binding, I did 2.5-inch. I know Mo does a little bit narrower, but she's a better quilter than I am, so you know, I need more forgiveness. But anyway, yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up for today, unless you got more questions. But don't forget to join us for our upcoming events.
Yeah, and let's, Carrie, go ahead into the folks in TV land. Can you just again mention about the 13th at a arrival time would be at 9:30, 9:45, but it starts at 10, and explain to them what that is and what they need to do to sign up.
So that is going to be the unveiling of the new Bernina 990 top of the line machine. And we're doing it like a party, but we are going to be in this room. So we are limited to like 30 seats. It doesn't cost you anything to come, but we do need you to pre-sign up. So you can either call us or you can sign up here in the store. But we're going to have a machine in the store that we're going to just definitely unveil. There will be a live stream from Bernina. This live stream will not be anywhere on the internet. You must be in the store to see this live stream from Bernina. And we're so excited about it. I just came back from Bernina University where they unveiled it to us as dealers. And we got some training on it. And I wish I could have gotten into more of the training, but you know, it was such an exciting machine that most of the classes were already full. But still, what we got to play with. And that isn't the only new machine that they had. So we'll talk about those on July 13th as well, because you don't want to miss out on some of the other new machines that they've got. So anyway, we're excited and we hope to see you there. But please just give us a call and get signed up.
Okay, we're saying goodbye to you. Bye, everyone out there.
See you next time.
We're not going to do show and tell.